real
Yeah.
Broadway play type playbill.
I wonder how many of them go into job or something.
Oh, I don't know. A lot of them will. He's tried to send it to me twice, and it hasn't.
Perfect. Call to order the Ravenna School District Board of Education meeting for April 22nd, 2024. Business meeting at 5:30 p.m. Roll call, please. Here.
Mrs. Dennison? Here. Mrs. Calhoun?
Here.
Mrs. Seaman?
Here.
Mr. Tanimonia?
Yes.
I'd also like to introduce our two student board members, one of which is here is Anna Jackson from RHS. We can all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. If I can have a moment of silence, please. Any additions or corrections to the agenda?
No.
If I can have approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Calhoun?
Yes.
Mrs. Dennison?
Yes.
Mrs. Seaman?
Yes.
Mr. Tanimonia?
Yes.
Mr. Wisniewski?
Yes, motion passes. Recognition of the public.
We have none.
Next is the Game Changer Awards.
Okay, so my favorite part of the whole program, if the adults and the students who are being recognized as game changers tonight would go over by those stairs over there, your principals will meet you there. The board will be on the stage. And we're going to start with the adults, so Mrs. Terry, you're going to go first. Are you a game changer? Are you a game changer? Yeah, go on over. You cut right through here. Your principal's going to be there. We have Anna. Okay. It literally is my favorite thing to do. All right. We are going to go ahead and get started, and already on stage is Mrs. Guyla Terry. She is one of our 3 adult game changers. The other 2 could not be here today, but Guyla is here. She is the current manager of the RHS food service program. After feeding thousands of Ravenna students, and literally we're not joking, are we, Guyla? Thousands. For 33 years, Guyla Terry is retiring. She's an excellent supervisor and works hard every day to feed the students at RHS, several of them who are here tonight. Guyla goes above and beyond to make meals the kids will eat, which we all know is difficult, and to put a smile on the students' faces. She's always thinking outside the box and will not waste anything. She works very hard to make sure cookies are baked and refreshments are ready for any catering we may do, and she's always thinking one step ahead. Guyla is caring, dedicated, and selfless, and she will be greatly missed. She is a true game changer. Congratulations, Mrs. Terry. All right, next coming up, we would normally have a preschool student, but he came down with the flu, so we are going to recognize him next month with the other preschool student. But now we have from West Park, Carter Burrell. Kindergarten for Carter has been amazing. When we think of someone who is respectful, responsible, and in control, Carter is at the top of the list. He's respectful to his classmates and to the adults in the building. He has great manners. He always says please and thank you. He's responsible for his learning, too. Carter is always asking questions and inquiring for more information. He reminds others what the classroom expectations are and tells them the way they should behave. He is typically in control and does a fantastic job of setting a good example for others to follow. Carter has come so far with his behavior as well as with his overall reading skills. Keep up the amazing work, Carter Burrell. West Park is very proud of you, and we love that bow tie. All right, next from Williard, we have Chloe Gray, who, if her mom wants to come with her, they can both come together as a match set. Chloe was nominated by Miss Campelli. She's an outstanding student and role model, a little bashful and a little shy. She's a hard worker who completes all her class assignments and homework on a daily basis. She's well-mannered, kind, and polite to others. She's so helpful to her friends. Chloe shows these qualities each and every day at school. Chloe, you are a rock star. Congratulations, Chloe. Ready? Next, from West Main, nominated by Mrs. Sims, we have Angela Doolin. Good job, Angelo. Angelo is always a class leader in his work ethic. He arrives every day ready to do his best. He influences others around him in class or in small groups to be just as motivated and determined to grow. Angelo has made amazing growth this year in reading and writing especially. He's a role model that goes above and beyond in his participation, teamwork, or simply being the one to help keep the classroom neat and tidy without being asked, just like at home, right? Angelo is an excellent student that we are lucky to have. Congratulations, Angelo. Next, from Brown's Middle School, is Savannah Rayleigh, a 7th grader. Savannah's science teacher nominated her for the BMS Game Changer. Savannah attends Brown Middle School, and she is everything you want a good citizen and scientist to be. She is helpful, hardworking, perseveres during challenges, and pushes herself to try new things. She's a student ambassador, a great leader in the building, and a member of the Superintendent's Advisory on Education. We are proud to recognize Savannah as the April BMS Game Changers. Congratulations, Savannah. Next, from Ravenna High School, we have Nathan Firak, an 11th grader. Not only was he nominated by a teacher in the building, he was also nominated by a community member and city council person. Nathan is an outstanding student. He is being nominated today because he is not only a great student, but a great citizen. While turning into the high school one morning before work, I saw Nathan. Nathan lives close to school and walks every day no matter the weather. What I saw was the fact that Nathan had his hands full of litter that he had picked up on his way to school. No one asked him or told him to do it. He did it himself because he cares about the planet and the town that he has grown up in. City Council person Amy Michael could not believe that she saw this child walking up and down the streets taking care of the town that he knows and loves. Congratulations, Nathan. And that concludes our game changers. So what we would like is to ask everybody who is either a student board member or a game changer to meet out in the cafeteria, and we'll take pictures, and then we'll come back after that brief recess for the rest of the meeting.
Next is the board president update. In 2021, when Dr. Hebert was hired as superintendent of schools, she signed a 3-year contract with the district, pledging to do the hard work necessary to move the district forward. Since that time, the district's academic standings in comparison to other districts in the state of Ohio has significantly improved, as we have moved from a 1-star district to a district that enjoys 2.5 stars. Our graduation rate is now above 90% as we continue to decrease our chronic absenteeism rate in all buildings, along with a corresponding decrease in disappropriate discipline. Overall, the different initiatives that have been implemented have clearly benefited our students. These initiatives include the annual Shadow a Student Day, restorative and trauma-informed practices, a new English language arts curriculum, leadership programs for both staff and students, diversity, equity, and inclusion recommendations, and a new strategic plan. The strategic plan took recommendations of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Task Force while also ensuring a robust family and community outreach plan of action. All buildings will achieve the goal of having air conditioning in classrooms, or at least be in the process of installation, and our Business Advisory Council and Faith-Based Advisory Councils are up and running, each with excellent programs to impact our students. Finally, as you all saw during the meeting, the Game Changer Awards have been a big change for the district. Over 3 years, approximately 165 students will have been recognized by their buildings as respectful, responsible, and in control. In addition, 90 faculty and staff will also have been recognized by their peers for outstanding workers and colleagues. It's now 2024, and Dr. Hebert has fulfilled her 3-year commitment to the district. And after 38 years in education plus 5 years in the business world, she will move into semi-retirement working as a consultant on a part-time basis. The Board of Education knows that whatever the future brings for Dr. Hebert, she will remain a Raven. As once a Raven, always a Raven. Thank you, Dr. Hebert.
Thank you.
The board will begin the process of searching for a new superintendent in the near future. Thank you. Next is the treasurer's update.
Do the appropriations now. Okay. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to join you. I'm your official interim treasurer on loan from the Educational Service Center, but I'm excited to be here, and there's a couple documents for you at your place setting. There is the larger of the two that looks like this, is the Certificate of Estimated Resources. While that's not what you're approving tonight, you're actually approving the appropriations. This is a good study. It's a good study that reminds you of your authority to spend and how we get to those numbers. It is one of the treasurer and board's primary responsibilities, is to approve the budget. If you follow left to right just on that cover page, and then you can take this home and study it at your leisure, you can see cash balances from the previous fiscal year recorded on the left. So we know that between the board, the treasurer, the county auditor, you know you have those monies in the bank, and we build upon that. As you move from left to right, if you look under that column 5, you see local taxes. So almost a little less than maybe 40% or so of your revenue comes from local taxes. That's that $12 million figure. And then we see other sources, which is the number 6 on that sheet. And that's your state aid. All the way to the right, you see the total available for balance. And that's just under $30 million. So to those who are watching and looking, the Ravenna City School District has about a $30 million budget. And this process that we validate our revenue sources is really important. But I wanted to give you what is submitted to the county auditor before asking you to approve an appropriation resolution tonight. And you all got my memo throughout the week and some follow-up phone calls about the importance of it. But I wanted you to see how it's constructed. If you have any questions or anybody has any questions, feel free. The second document is just a simple one-pager. And there's 3 columns on that outside of the fund description. What I like about this form is it does give you a line item description about what the budget items are. Then it gives you the fund number. We know that nobody speaks treasurer language like we do. We get it. But the fund number is important for your board resolutions when you're approving a contract, when you're approving a purchase service. These are great questions to ask. What fund number might it come out of? So that you know if it's local funds, you know it's a grant fund. It could be a local grant fund, or it could be a state or federal grant fund. Those are all symbolized in the description and those 3-digit numbers. The amended certificate, those numbers come from that big handout worksheet that we just went over. And that process is from the county auditor. It says, here's how much money we believe you have available to spend. The final line item and column, which is all whole dollar amounts, we are a little bit late in passing our appropriations resolution, but we did do all the homework about looking for the certificate from total sources that we just went over. And we are submitting this to the county auditor, auditor of state's office, for our authority to spend. And again, it's one of the top responsibilities of a board and a treasurer and superintendent is to determine how much money we have available to spend. A couple questions for tonight, tomorrow, and maybe a finance committee in May. The 5-year forecast review in May is a big month. A couple questions you might want to ask. Why is the number in the amended certificate line larger than the appropriations? You may have a cash balance carryover at a federal grant or a local grant. Another question you might ask is, what if the number on the appropriations is larger than the amended certificate? That's a really important question. That question is, we're asking for more authority to spend than we have money, and why? And we have to answer the why question. We might have been awarded an amendment to our Title I allocation. We might have received a local grant from a fundraiser, something to that nature, and that's the process we're holding us in the public and accountable for. So thank you for letting me walk this in tonight. We'll go over this in more detail. We can answer any questions you want to tonight, or we can go over this in more detail during the 5-year forecast review. And I assume it's customary that I'd also like for the items in A, which are items 1 through 7 for approval tonight.
Thank you. Next is the superintendent update.
So my update is actually one of 2 parts, and the first thing we're going to show you is a video. Before you start it, I have gone into all of the high school classes this year, with the exception of biology, to talk to the kids about the state testing, the end of year test that we just are in the middle of and finishing up this week or next week. They take them in math, they take them in social studies, they take them in science, they take them in English. And your state report card and the stars that Mr. Wisniewski talked about is dependent on how you do on those state tests. So my goal is to get the kids not only motivated, but to understand that they can own the test versus the test owning them. A lot of kids go into a test like this really nervous. Is the test too hard? Is it too big? And so as a lacrosse official, I was able to travel to several World Cups for lacrosse and watch New Zealand and Australia perform the haka. But this is a team for rugby, and the kids are always like, rugby people are crazy, and they are. They are playing football without pads. It's 100% injury rate. Every single person who plays gets hurt. And still they go out there with no pads and play. So this is a video of the Australian team called the All Blacks. They're called All Blacks simply because their uniforms are all black, and they are playing the team from France. And when I showed this video to the kids, I wanted them to think of 4 things. First of all, I am obsessed with how big their thighs are. I mean, I don't even know how much weight they must be losing to get to be that giant. Second of all, they have these facial and gestures that are just wild, and how would that make you feel? Third is, at the very end, there's a guy in red shoes, and he's got dreads, and he does a hand gesture to end the whole haka, and I just want you to kind of focus on that towards the end, the guy in the red shoes, what he's doing, and then to think about how you would feel if you were the team receiving the haka, which is really a challenge to warriors from times gone by when they would meet on the battlefield. So I'm going to show you the video, and then we're going to talk a little bit about what we did in the schools. Do you have sound?
Off the tracksuits, stand in front of them and receive the challenge of the haka.
So you can see the guy in the red shoes. That's who you're going to want to concentrate at the end. Number 18, he's insane about his height. He's so hyped up. You can see his nose has been broken, so that's 100% injury rate. Number 6 is the captain from France. So into what's going on. I showed that video to the high school kids, I want them to take on the test like the way these people are attacking the other team. I want them to feel like they are well prepared to take on that test and not let the test get in their head. So we spent a lot of time talking about, I want them to look like number 6 from France, like bring it, bring me the test. And after the first day, I think it was one of the English kids went up to Poppelmeyer and said, I ate up that test, and I love that video. So I have bracelets that say do the haka. I told the kids I want them to do the haka in their head before every test. I want them to beat on their chest if that's what it takes to get them in the mindset that they can beat that test. So if you didn't get a bracelet and you're a kid, or if you're an adult and you want one, I have extras because we need to do the haka, because my goal is by the end of this year we're going to have 3 stars. And I think it is definitely within reach. And I know there's some 3rd graders in here who might want that because they took the 3rd grade reading test, I think. Anyway, so that was my first part. The second part is not the most fun. I did send out a newsletter on Friday about what are the possible budget cuts due to the levy. They involve teachers, custodians, personnel in general, possible cuts to sports, possible cuts to busing, getting kids to and from school based on mileage. There's a lot to unpack in that. And that's because the budget, the levy did not pass. And in the last few days, I've had several parents say, I didn't even know there was a levy. So I don't know what we need to do, but there's a levy, and we are going to talk again about getting that levy on the ballot in November, possibly. And if that levy's on the ballot in November, these are the things that are at risk if that levy doesn't pass. And more, because every time you don't pass a levy, it's another year that you're not collecting money. And so, I've fielded a lot of phone calls today, especially about the busing, but we need to save $788,000 by the end of next year and another $1.2 million by the year after that. That's not an easy save. And I know the interim treasurer, Mr. Pendleton, is shaking his head yes, because he knows it's not an easy save. But we're going to do whatever we can do to make sure our kids are still getting educated at the level that they need to, so that when they do the HACA, they take on that test and they're totally prepared. But we need to do the HACA as a community and take on that levy. And we just need to understand that what matters is what comes if we don't vote for that. So those are my 2 points, and then I'm going to turn it over to my business operations director to talk a little bit about facilities, because we have air conditioning going on, which is a different fund than what the levy would pay for. So they're completely unrelated, which is hard to understand. And then that will be followed up by a report from our middle school principal and her colleagues. All right, Mr. York?
Good evening. My name is Stephen York. I'm the Director of Business Operations for the Ravenna School District. My job description includes supervision of food services, maintenance, transportation. I manage all the board-owned properties, provide centralized purchasing, repair and construction management. I promote good safety and cleanliness. I get to drive the roads in inclement weather to see whether it's safe to put our students in or out of school, and provide some guidance to the superintendent for making that decision. I'm a problem solver, and of course the most important line item in my job description is any other task is deemed important by the superintendent. So I'm trying to take care of that stuff. But my job really isn't just me. My job is supported by really capable directors. I have a director of transportation, a director of food services, and we have a huge staff of really highly trained professionals, custodians, bus drivers, food service operators, really an amazing group of people. So if things are going great, it seems like I'm not really involved, which is the way it's hopefully supposed to be. However, if things kind of go south or they need a little bit of attention, then the spotlight comes out and the man shows from behind the curtain. So, and I'm there sometimes. I'd like to provide you a couple of updates. Our Brown Middle School HVAC project is coming to a close. It's amazing, all the systems are up, they're running. We're working on final punch list items and closing out the project, and that project should be closed out here pretty quickly. We got final training happening for our maintenance and our custodial staff on the 5th and the 10th of May, and shortly thereafter we should be looking to sign some final documents or get to that point. The chiller is up and running, and as the weather warms up, we'll fire that thing up and cool the building down as appropriate. So really excited. We ran that earlier this last month, and we've run it a couple times since to make sure all the bugs are worked out and everything is working well. So we're in a good spot on that. As the Brown Middle School HVAC project is winding down, the elementary HVAC project is winding up. So today I had a walkthrough with some controls and one of our vendors looking at the buildings. We were doing a little bit of final planning and checking the designs from the architect to make sure that what we were expecting to do was properly documented and ready to go. On the 13th of May, we'll have a pre-construction meeting where we lay out our timelines, and substantial completion for the elementary HVAC is scheduled to be done by July 31st. So when the kids return to school, when it's the hottest part of the year, we will have buildings that will take care of their needs and make sure that they can study and do things without really being taxed by the temperatures and what's going on. I have some statistics I wanted to share with you because I am a numbers guy. So in transportation, I got a full-time coordinator, a secretary, and a mechanic, 15 full-time drivers, 3 subs. Out of my subs, 1 sub can only work 2 p.m. routes during the week. 1 sub will only drive kindergarten routes. 1 sub drives Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, and 2 other subs actually only do sports trips. They're not listed in the 3. Got 4 aides. We run 16 routes. This year so far, we've done 609 field trips, 201 of which were sports trips. We got 143 more trips on the books. We've had 3 overnight trips this year. Roughly, we haul in any given day almost 1,200 students and drive almost 791 miles a day total. So really a lot. We had 5 vans that run, which span from special needs to homeless to just getting students transferred around. On my food services, I've got a full-time coordinator and a secretary, 20 full-time workers, three subs. Out of the 118 operating days when I asked her to give me some statistics, she had served 108,810 breakfasts and 150,449 lunches. To say that we take care of our children and give them some nutrition is really something that we take very important to us. They also provide food for field trips, field day, senior breakfast, staff events, and many other things. And the last thing that food services helps me with is we do birdie bags. We hand those out for people who are food challenged. This year we've sent home 1,235 birdie bags for 45 students and 3,570 bags to middle school students for 124 students. So just a lot of numbers. As many people know, I like to fire hose you whenever I get the opportunity, so congratulations. But that's my job in a nutshell, and hopefully within my 3 minutes of allotted time. Any questions I can quickly answer?
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. York?
I really appreciate the opportunity of working and servicing this district. It's an amazing place. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Burwell, now we have a report from Brown Middle School.
Well, we thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to stand before you today and talk a little bit about Brown Middle School, a school that I am extremely proud of, and we are doing a lot of great things. But one thing that I realize as the leader of the building is that I'm not doing this alone. All of the great things that people talk about and people see, it's not because of me, but it's because of the people standing behind me and with me, helping me to implement the programs and the systems that we are putting in place. So I wanted them to come with me as well and talk about some of the things that we're doing. Last year, if you recall, we talked about some things that we wanted to implement this school year. And so today I wanted to talk about the implementation of those things and how they're going. So we knew that we needed an advisory period, something that would help our students understand that they were an integral part of our community, having that one person in the building that they knew that they could go to when they needed help. So Monday through Friday, at the end of the day, we have advisory period, and it's broken down into different things that we do. So on Monday, it's all about social emotional learning. So they have lessons that they do with their advisory teacher. At the beginning of the year, we had them name their advisory family. They were tasked with decorating their door to represent their family and who they were all about. So they would feel like, this crew that I'm with every single Monday, these are my people. So we have contests that we've had throughout the year with our advisories, and it's just really grown into a great thing. In the middle of the year, we wanted to see how things were going, and so we had students complete a survey, and we asked the question, do you feel like there is an adult in the building who you trust and can go to when there is a problem? 74.4% of the students said yes. So that means that more than half of our students feel like there's someone that I can go to if I have an issue, if I just feel like I need to talk to. We'll be giving this survey again before the end of the year, hoping that that 74.4 will be in the 90s, or maybe even 100%, because we want every student to feel like there's a trusted adult in the building that they can go to. Tuesdays through Thursdays, we have intervention and enrichment. So we've involved every single teacher in our building. Every teacher is doing something. They're either doing intervention with students who need that extra support, or they're offering enrichment for students who need that challenge and they're ready to do more. So with enrichment, they're doing coding, they're doing Genius Hour, and Genius Hour just entails a student coming up with something that they are interested in, they want to investigate and learn a little bit more about, and then they share it with their team, what they have learned. With intervention, we have found that looking at our benchmark scores, students who were really struggling at the beginning of the year, some of them tested out of intervention, and now they're in the enrichment groups. So we're seeing that this is working, and we really drive home with the kids. Just because you're in intervention now doesn't mean that you stay there. But we look at your scores, we look at the process throughout the year, so if you're growing, you're not stuck in that spot. On Friday, we have what's called Passion Friday. So every teacher in the building, they selected something that they are really passionate about, that they wanted to share with the students. And then the students select the passion that they want to participate in. Mr. York will let you know that I am just dying to have a greenhouse, because I feel like it would be great to grow all of these wonderful vegetables and then invite the community in to share in it, so then the community can see how the school is a resource to them. So, since we don't have our greenhouse yet, Mr. York, we had to have our own little garden that we developed. So one of our teachers, Miss McKenna, she's working with our science teacher, Miss Stefancic, on our little garden, and so she's going to talk a little bit about that.
Thank you, Mrs. Burwell. I would like to start off with Mrs. Burwell has such a positive leadership at our school, and she never says no to anything. And she's fearless, and so that's a testament to what we're doing in the building for sure, because right now we have worms that are growing, and this gardening passion started with Sheila Stefancic, was awarded a grant through the Portage County Master Gardeners, and our wonderful 8th grades, point it this way or this way? No. Oh, sorry. Aha. Okay. We've been all over the place. For those of you that are familiar with Roush, you can tell that this is us finding a south-facing window. Students started from seeds. They've transplanted into bigger pots, learning about all the process, how fragile these plants are at the beginning, taking into account watering. We've even had our custodial staff over spring break take care of the plants. There we go. This is the worm beds. They save some of their lunch to feed their worms every week. The most exciting thing is they're also working as pollinators, pollinating the plants that we've grown, and we're very happy to welcome our very first cucumber baby on the right. So our mission here is to teach students some resilience, teach them some independence. They're learning where their food comes from. Right now, our latest endeavor, I don't think there's another picture, they're learning how to grow sprouts from water. So not learning how to cultivate the soil and what worms do for us, but also learning how to grow food that you can eat within 7 days from a mason jar in water. So we love it. Passion Friday is the best.
So that's our advisory. So I felt like I could not end this presentation without us talking a little bit about our Washington, D.C. trip. So we were able to bring this trip back, March 15th through the 17th, they traveled. And this is the picture from 1991 when Mr. Ben Rivlin and myself, we were the final class at Brown Middle School at that time to travel to DC. And you can see how old this picture is. It's black and white. We couldn't get all the picture on one little thing. It had to be like a panoramic. On each end, you'll see the same social studies teacher, Mr. Tanamonia. He had to run to the other end, so he's actually on both ends of the picture. So when I started at Brown, I knew that one of my goals would be to bring back this trip. So Mr. Sullivan did an awesome job of planning this trip and making sure it happened. So I'm going to allow him and our Dean of Students, Ms. Shanky, to talk a little bit about the trip and how that went.
Those of you that have been around for a little bit know that when Katrina says she wants something, she tends to get it. So we were so happy to be able to bring the DC trip back to Brown Middle School. We have a whole folder of pictures that I'll gladly share with you guys and videos, but I think one of the biggest things that we took away from this experience was just how deserving our kids are. We were about 3.5, 4 hours into our journey to DC, stopped at a Golden Corral, and we were eating, and a random person came up to us and said, "Are you the adults with these kids?" And we were like, "Yeah." And they said, "These are the best behaved, most respectful kids that I've ever seen on a school trip." And that set the tone for, I'm not kidding, the rest of the trip. We were on time to everything. The kids went to bed, woke up. We got compliments throughout. They had experiences that'll last a lifetime. Our final night, we were driving to Dave & Buster's after a long day in DC, and a group of kids were talking towards the front of the bus, and they were talking to our tour guide, who they affectionately referred to as Uncle Jeff, and they said, "I've never been on a trip where I've had so much fun. Even my family trips aren't as fun as this." And a couple people echoed the sentiment. So to be able to be a part of that, a small part of that, and bring that to our kids who definitely deserve it, I think was both humbling and also one of the most fulfilling experiences we could have had. And I'll toss it over to Ms. Schenke as well.
Yeah, I just agree with that. I think being there, it was like the time of year when it's before spring break, everyone's getting a little antsy, and we go, and it's just like, it really like reminds you how much you love your job and love working with kids, and doing something like this, it's like, oh, they can do it. They are, they're great. So I was so grateful that I got to go, because it really was like, it just was a great experience to like get to see them outside of the school setting too, and how much fun we had. Fun dad over here. That's what they called him for the weekend, so.
Fun dad.
So what will we do next? Well, we're going to keep defying the odds, because many people see Brown Middle School as the toughest building in the district. And it is. We are the toughest building in the district, but we also have a lot of grit. We have a lot of determination. We will defy the odds, and we will show everyone just how awesome our building is. And we know that as Ravens, we're built different. You can be raised anywhere else, but if you are raised a Raven, you have it in you to be successful, because it's just something different about a Raven when you meet them. So we're ready to go to the next level, and this was my short little 3-minute presentation. Thank you so much.
Nobody can follow the directions. Good job. Thank you.
Next is reports of the board. Maplewood report.
Okay, well, we were very fortunate to get to tour the HVAC unit at Maplewood. It has been 2 years now since they put the program in. They had 10 this year, but next year they have 25. And I have no clue how they're going to manage 25 kids in that area with all that dangerous equipment. But they had a lot of kids that were really interested in that, and it is a good field for the kids to go in. Mr. Griffith also talked about a drug workshop that they had for their staff, and the sheriff and the Ravenna police put that on. It was an eye-opener for me, because I did not realize what all was out there for these kids to get into. I didn't realize you could buy psychedelic mushrooms on the internet. I didn't realize that the kids could put them in drinks and you'd never know what they had in there. There were drugs in Skittles and gummies and chocolate bars. And that was really scary, but I thought that was a really good thing for the teachers to be made aware of. At the skills program that they have, it's a statewide program, and they had 3 gold medals that they won at state. One was in carpentry, and I don't recall the other 2. But that was quite an accomplishment, and they will go on to the nationals. On Thursday night, they had their National Honor Society induction, and we had one student from Ravenna, Serena Everhart, who was inducted into the National Honor Society. For Students of the Month, we did have one Ravenna student. They only choose 2 every month, and his name is Elijah Hunt. He's in mechanical, groundskeeping, and construction. Another good field to go into. They're always, and these kids are coming out with jobs when they finish. So it's really a great thing for the kids. We had a lot of Ravenna kids that were on the honor roll. Several had 4 points. Dean Baker, Dakota Bishop, Maeve Byler, Ethan Brookholder, Elijah Hunt, and Jackson Ritchie all had 4 points. And in the junior, those were all seniors, and in the juniors, Kenny Miller and Matthew Rumbold also had 4 points. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Seaman. Next is the Parks and Rec report.
No report this evening.
Thank you, Mrs. Dennison. Next is report to the treasurer.
We have the,
Go ahead.
all right, so we have the approval of the minutes from the March 25th business meeting, and also the special meeting from April 3rd, and approval of the minutes from the special meeting on April 5th, and the special meeting on April 11th. Number 5, we have a list of the gifts and donations that were received in this since the last board meeting. And the financial reports from March, which includes the bank reconciliation, the budget status report, the cash position report, and the check register.
Thank you. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Calhoun?
Yes.
Mrs. Dennison?
Yes.
Mrs. Seaman?
Yes.
Mr. Tanamonio? Yes. And Mr. Wisniewski?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. The approval of the permanent appropriations that Mr. Pendleton talked about earlier.
If I can have a motion, please?
So moved.
Roll call.
Mrs. Calhoun?
Yes.
Mrs. Dennison?
Yes.
Mrs. Seaman?
Yes.
Mr. Tanamonio? Yes. And Mr. Wisniewski?
Yes, motion passes. Next is reports and recommendations of the superintendent and other administrators.
First, I'm asking you that you approve the contract between us and Lake Tech Network. That's for our broadband services.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Calhoun?
Yes.
Mrs. Dennison?
Yes.
Mrs. Seaman?
Yes.
Mr. Tanamonio? Yes. Mr. Wisniewski?
Yes, motion passes.
Next, we have Mr. Rivlin is asking for us to approve some revised and replacement policies. Mr. Rivlin?
Thank you. The policy committee met last week to review the following policies in front of you. They are all revisions, so they will only need one reading. We're going to go through these. It's a shorter list than normal, but you'll see that most of them are still related to House Bill 33, which was the budget bill, which has created a lot of changes in a lot of our policies. So the first one is Policy 2623. It's on student assessment and academic intervention services. The policy's been revised to include the requirement included in House Bill 33 that by June 30th of each year, schools must provide parents with a student score on any state assessment administered to the student. It can be sent by mail or email or posted in the district's online portal. We already do that, but the law requires us to change the policy. The next one, 2623.02, is on the third grade reading guarantee. This policy has been revised to reflect current administration windows for the student assessments. They've also taken away the diagnostic assessment that was always in kindergarten. So it used to be K through 3 that had to be done before September 30th, and this year it's going to be grades 1 through 3. A lot of the kindergartners were struggling to get that done in the first few weeks of school. The next policy, 3120.04, is on employment of substitutes. This policy includes a minor change prompted by House Bill 33. It reflects that the districts may employ student teachers as substitute teachers on a semester-to-semester basis upon approval by the board. Schools will need to confirm that the student teachers, college or university allow their students to be paid substitutes. So we have a handful from the area from Kent State and Hiram, Akron, and we will confirm with those universities if they're going to allow this. This is similar to what we passed earlier about substitutes who did not have to have their bachelor's completed, but as a district we decided that they were going to be in education courses, so this falls right in line with that. Policy 3140 is on termination and resignation. Again, policy revised to reflect changes in House Bill 33, permitting districts to provide notice of the board's intention to terminate a professional employee by regular mail with a certificate of mailing. So that would be a certified mailing. You can also do it through email or electronic mail with proof of delivery or other method with proof of delivery. And it's critical that the district obtains proof so that the notice was received regardless of the means of that delivery. Policy 4124 is on employment contracts. Again, from House Bill 33, permitting districts to provide notice of the board's intention not to reemploy a classified member by regular mail. This is similar to the one that I just read, but this is for classified as opposed to certified. They can get it through regular mail, electronic mail, or another method as long as you prove that delivery. Next policy, 4140, again, termination and resignation. This is the same thing as the last two, except this is for classified members, staff members, as well as we just talked about certificated and professional. So same exact policy for a different classification. Policy 5310 on health services. This is revised from a new revised code that requires each traditional public school, community school, STEM school, chartered non-public, or other public school with school buildings that enroll girls in grades 6 through 12 to provide free menstrual products, and that's from the new budget bill. Mr. Smith, I know, is working with the treasurer to make sure that we will have those in the restrooms at the middle school and the high school. Policy 8600 is on transportation. This limits how far students in grades K through 8 can walk. It is 2 miles. However, there's no technical limit for high school students. So they've created additional options for districts to consider. Also, at travel times for the transportation of children with disabilities, provisions have been added to help districts fulfill their obligation to establish travel time standards for students with disabilities. And it also removed language that states the superintendent will take changes to bus routes to the board at the next meeting. The superintendent has the authority to make those changes, and this is not a practice typically employed by districts. So the requirement is now not necessary. They've also added drafting note information for districts that school bus drivers meet the qualifications to drive vehicles other than school buses, so our drivers can also drive our vans. It may require that the driver completes some training modules, such as school van driving. The individual does not need a CDL, though, to drive those vehicles other than a school bus. Policy 8600.04, bus driver certification. This policy has been revised to add cross-references to relevant policies, update references to the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce, and properly reference school vehicles. So they've changed about 3 words in this policy. They didn't like that it said vehicles, it now says school vehicles. But we had to update this policy to meet the guidelines from ODEW. Policy 8640, transportation for non-routine trips. This title of the policy has been updated for accuracy, and it's also been revised to recognize that districts may charge the personnel costs associated with the driver's time and or mileage time. These are actually 2 separate costs that the district reports and tracks. through our T2 reports that we have to report to the state. Therefore, it's important that districts have a way to recoup the cost of a driver who will be paid on an hourly basis. Home stretch here. Policy 8650, transportation by vehicles other than school buses. They revised, administrative code uses the term vehicle and the revised code uses the term van. So the policy had to be updated and revised and expanded to refer to vehicles other than school buses. Both of the above, vehicle and van, reference terms are used in law, so there's not appear to be a preferred term, and we do not believe that one term has a different legal effect than the other. So it's been updated, as well as it reflects that drivers of non-routine vehicles like vans do not need CDLs, just as we read in one of the previous policies. And the final one, policy 8660, incidental transportation of students by private vehicles. Another Ohio Administrative Code, which is part of the approved transportation regulations, addresses routine use of vehicles, including regular use of personal vehicles, and the transportation of students at the direction of the school. This provides rules governing the transportation of students in authorized vehicles, incidental use of a personal vehicle in the transportation of school students, for example, an unexpected situation in which a principal or staff member needs to drive a sick student home from school, or a field trip is not regulated in this section of the administrative code. Any questions on the policies that have been presented here in front of you? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ryblin. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Roll call?
Yes.
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 Yes, motion passes.
Now I'm asking that you approve the list of qualifying seniors from graduation, like the really great thing that we're going to do in a month. So this is the list of seniors.
We're going to have a motion, please?
So moved.
Roll call?
Yes.
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 Next, we have a consent agenda for items A1, 2, and 3, the retirement and resignation of preschool director Beth Coleman, but also the approval of the rehiring and changing that title to preschool director and special services coordinator. You may remember last month we changed Jessica Haynes' title to special services rather than special ed, and it's the same thing here since Ms. Coleman works with her. And then to rehire her as a rehire.
Motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Roll call?
Yes.
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 Yes. Motion passes.
Next, we have a consent agenda 4 through 7. These are 3-year contracts for our central office personnel. The Director of Student Services, Mrs. Haynes, the Director of Transportation, Ms. Eisman, the Director of Technology, Jay Newcomb, and the Director of of Business Operations, Stephen York.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Roll call?
Yes.
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 Yes, motion passes.
Next is a consent agenda for the 3-year contracts of our building leaders, Ms. Burwell at the middle school, Mr. Duncan at the high school, and Mr. Sullivan at the middle school.
If I can have a motion, please?
Second.
Roll call?
Yes.
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 Yes, motion passes.
Next, we have a consent agenda, B1 through 7, a resignation of our speech and language pathologist, the recommendation to non-renew the ELL tutor. We do this every year, and then we seek them out again and rehire them, but it's always a 1-year contract. Employment of substitute teachers, Jeanette Jones, to approve the continuing contract for these teachers, certificated staff members of Katie Chickick, Lauren Johnson, Teresa Russa-Swain, Heather Stianchi, and then to approve 1-year limited contracts for this list of teachers under number 5. There's a significant number of them. Number 6 is to approve the 2-year limited contracts of those 3 teachers, and number 7 is the 3-year limited contracts for those teachers that are listed.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Abstain.
Yes, motion passes.
Okay, the next is a standalone agenda item to approve the 3-year limited contract of a certificated staff member, and just one of them, and it's just that standalone.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Yes.
Abstain.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, motion passes.
Next, we have letter C, consent agenda numbers 1 through 3, the resignation of our football coach, approve the employment of an athletic position with girls track coach, amend an employment resolution to change the department chair at Brown Middle School for special ed. Jessica Edwards is stepping back, and instead it's going to be picked up by Alexa Stefanov.
If I can have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes, motion passes.
D, consent agenda 1 through 5 is for our classified employees, accepting the resignation of the assistant mechanic, a custodian, approving the employment of a custodian, and approving the employment of an educational aide, along with approving the employment of several substitute employees.
Motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Yes.
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 Motion passes. Yes, I'm yes, sorry. Yes, got a little jumpy there, I apologize.
That is the end of my business.
Thank you. Recognition of the public, do we have anybody?
We do not.
Okay. Next we have discussion with the student board members of the month, Anna Jackson and Devarian White. Did I pronounce that okay? Awesome, thank you. Mr. T, if you'd like to take over for this?
Start with Anna. You're down there, aren't you? Make sure that if you see me go like this or something, I need you to move the microphone a little bit so we can all hear you. That's pretty good right now, I imagine.
Okay.
Okay, tell us what grade you're in.
I'm a senior.
Okay. What's going to happen here in a couple months?
I'm going to graduate and go to college.
Oh, yes. What are your plans?
Go to Kent State University and pursue media journalism.
Journalism.
Yes.
Okay. They have a good school for that.
Yes.
They do. Tell us a little bit about your school experience. Have you always gone to Ravenna?
I've taken a leap year here and there. I've taken half a year at Hope in my sophomore year, but pretty much all 4 years I've been here at Ravenna.
All right. And how's your experience been overall?
I've had a few struggles here and there my freshman year with grades and keeping up motivation, but my overall experience has been really decent.
Okay. What's your favorite?
My favorite experience with the school?
Favorite class, I should say.
My favorite class would have to be newspaper. I really love the connections that I get to make with people that I've never made with before, and I get really involved with the school, which I've never done. So.
Okay. Do you kind of wish you'd got more involved earlier then?
Yes, most definitely.
In what way could you have?
I could have gotten out there more, like doing sports, involving myself with teachers, more other students, making new friends. And I really wish that I would have started an earlier year than my senior year, and I'm really sad to let it go. But
in one of the comments that Mrs. Burwell had about Brown Middle School, she had a pie graph that showed how many kids, percentage-wise of kids that have an adult staff member in the school. And I know Brown is not where you're at, but the same thing I think would carry on into your senior high school. they had some individual teacher that they trusted, and they could go to for about anything to get directions to something or talk about something, but trusted that person. Do you see that happening at all in the high school? Would that be a good thing?
Yes, I feel like that is a very good thing, and there are many teachers here who are really good to go to for advice in life.
Okay. All right. Do you have any individual teacher that you have kind of become friends with?
That teacher would have to be Stephen Del Chiappa. He is my all-time favorite teacher, and he's probably one of the only teachers that I felt comfortable enough to come out of my shell and interact.
Great. All right. What do you think about your experience tonight? And I know it's probably been quite boring, but many board meetings are just that. They're a matter of fact that we've already done the research on and asked the questions on, and just for purpose of expediency to get done at a reasonable hour, those questions may have already been answered, or we could ask questions here if we wish as individuals. There's 5 people on the board, all elected by the election system, political system that has elections every couple of years. Board members serve for 4 years at a time. 3 of us are elected like in 0 year, and then the other 2 years later. So there's always a continuation of the same people. So we don't all leave 1 year and then come, all get elected for the next time. It's like many boards, but it is something that you might want to consider because you've had this great experience or good experience in many different ways, not just a good experience. You've had some other difficulties, and you could really identify with students who you would. You'll soon be the adult in the building, and. But once you're out of school, you can run again for the school board if you wish. And it's quite an experience because you have to campaign and do those things that people do. And there's many boards that you could serve on. School board's just one, but in any city, township, state, or country, there's a zillion committee opportunities and board opportunities that you might like to take advantage of. And this is how they work, and just kind of like this. But in some board meetings, you might see some attitudes taken about, because we all represent different people. We're all different people. We all have different interests. We have different likes. We have different maybe reasons for being on a school board. One thing we all have is a great interest in education. They want you to get the best education you can because that's all you have to take with you in your luggage as an 18-year-old, your education. And that'll either take you places or you wish it had. Thank you. Do you have any questions for us?
No, I do not. I just want to thank you guys. This has been a really good experience, very new. It was kind of nerve-wracking at first, but I think this is very beneficial for our schools.
Okay, great. Devarian, is that how to say your name?
Devorian.
Devorian, okay. Devorian Jackson. And what class are you in? What grade?
I'm in 8th grade.
You're 8th grade. You got to be the tallest kid in the 8th grade. You're really a tall guy. I know. I used to think I was tall, but then I stood next to you out there, and I realized I'm just another short guy. Is basketball in your future, or any sports, athletics?
Yeah, basketball.
You like that? Cool. Great. Tell me a little bit about your thoughts about. You're going to be going. You're in 7th grade now. So you're in 8th grade. So you've only got 2 months left at Brown, and then you're off to the high school. Are you looking forward to that or dreading that?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Ready to get out of middle school.
Yeah. Do you know a lot of kids or run around with a lot of kids that are in high school?
Yes.
Good. All right. I always wonder whether 8th grade is a challenge for someone coming up or whether we've done a good job of preparing you, not just in the classroom. Have we done a good enough job as 8th grade or middle school board to get you ready to come and to understand and not to fear anything, but to want to come to the 9th grade then? Do you think there's anything we could do better for that, or did we do okay?
Did a good job.
Okay. You are not a man of big words, and that's okay too. Favorite class?
Social studies.
Social studies? That's great. What do you see in your future after school?
I want to be a YouTuber.
A what?
A YouTuber.
YouTuber.
Okay. And where at? You gonna stay around this area? You think after you're done with school?
No.
What kind do you have in mind? Where would you like to go?
I want to move to Houston, Texas.
Houston? Any reason?
A lot of content creators down there.
Okay. I've never been there. Have you been there? Okay. When you get back, tell me about it. Okay. All right. I think we have some questions probably from other board members for you, either one of you or both of you.
I have a question. What kind of content do you want to put on YouTube?
Inspirational content like daily life, lifestyle, challenges.
So inspirational, motivational, that type of thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Nice. Very good.
Pretty soon Anna will be reporting on you.
Anybody else? Okay. If you have any questions of us, now's the time to ask them.
No questions.
Okay. All right. Anna and Devarion, do you both have a safe way home? Okay. All right. Well, thanks for coming tonight.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
it greatly.
Thank you for having us.
All right. Back to the president.
Thank you. Okay, next is informational items. The next Board of Education meeting will be Monday, May 20th, 2024 at 6 p.m. at the Ravenna High School. Graduation Tuesday, May 21st, 2024 at 7 p.m. at the Portage Community Bank Stadium. The rain date is Wednesday, May 22nd. End of the fourth 9 weeks and last days of school are Thursday, May 23rd, 2024, and Records Day, last day of school for teachers, is Friday, May 24th. We have no need for executive session. Can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Sorry.
Yes.
Dennison.
Yes.
Mrs. Seaman.
Yes.
Mr. Fonamano.
Yes.
Mr. Wojciechowski.
Yes, motion passes. Thank you, everyone.